Theresa Byrne and I are going to share 5 important boundaries so that you can protect your time, your energy, and your well-being in the coming year. Boundary number 1 is don't stay in relationships where you don't feel honored and respected. If you've ever felt underappreciated or undervalued when you're in a relationship, you know how crappy that feels. Disrespect in relationship can come in several different forms, like mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. What happens is over time, disrespect can become resentment, and it can even turn into abuse and create a cycle of toxic behavior. The answer is boundaries. The first boundary you want to set is one with yourself about how you want to be treated in relationships, and know what you will and won't tolerate and put up with. Then if somebody disrespects you or hurts your feelings, you set a boundary with them right away. You address the disrespectful behavior and you let them know how it affects you and also what's at stake in the relationship. And if that person makes amends and apologizes and does better, then great. But if not, you set a boundary that you will walk away because you deserve respect.
What helps you feel respected and honored in a relationship? You need to outline that for yourself. I feel respected when. How do you feel it? How do you feel honored? How do you know someone is paying attention to you or making you an important part of their lives or listening? I'll give you a clue. Boundaries. If you set a boundary and someone else respects it, that's a huge sign that they respect you. But think about the other pieces of it. When I'm in a relationship, whether it's a friendship or a workship or a dating ship, you want to feel respected by blank. I want them to listen to me. I want them to ask me how I am. I want them to set plans with me, whatever that is. So come up with that ahead of time instead of being like, you don't respect me. We'll know how someone can show respect to you or how you feel respected. It's just like a love language, right? In love languages, we feel love and we give love in a certain way. Respect is the same thing. We all feel respected in different ways. We all feel honored differently. So figure out what that looks like for you. The second boundary for you to set in the new year, listen to your feelings. Feelings are meant to be felt, and don't ignore a difficult feeling, a stressed out feeling, an angry feeling just to keep the peace. So let's say that you're in a relationship or in a family dynamic, and you tend to find that you keep yourself quiet or you ignore or you shove down the discomfort. It's not going to serve you. It's going to come out somehow because you all of a sudden will explode because you've ignored the feeling that you were upset, the feeling that you were angry, the feeling that your boundary was crossed. There are ways to deal with it. And we teach all of these different methods, but the best one is to understand that that's how you feel. Doesn't mean you have to react to it in the moment. You can breathe through it, but notice how you feel so that you can do something about it.
So I would just add that needs are not needy. They are valid. They are part of who you are and how you operate. And so when you get in touch with those feelings and needs, you will be much more aligned with your own truth. You'll be much more authentic because they'll bubble up. They will not stay down forever, and they will make you sick if you don't express what you feel and what you need.
I just want to reiterate that keeping the peace doesn't mean giving up a piece of yourself.
Number 3 is don't expect change without asking for what you want. Spoiler alert, people cannot read your mind. It's an amazing thing that we just think if they loved me, they would know what I needed and they wouldn't act this way. And we are brought up this way often. We were taught that if people care about us, they'll know exactly what we need. But we have to communicate what we need and want clearly and calmly from the start of any relationship. This is going to help the other person know how you operate best, what you need and want, and then change can happen.
To expect anyone to change without asking them or talking to them about it, it's a setup. People aren't just going to change automatically because you waved your magic change wand. We have to have those conversations. And not only that, if you have a conversation with someone about a change that you'd like, it explains so much about who you are. It helps them connect to your heart. And if you see someone make those changes, it feels really good. The next one, don't wait till you're absolutely drained, exhausted, and over the top, can't move to set a boundary. Your system is giving you messages, and there's a message when you start to feel drained. Sometimes you might reach for caffeine. Sometimes you might reach for sugar. Sometimes you might be like, oh, I'm nearing the boiling point, or I'm nearing the edge. When you notice those feelings, it's your body signaling you physiologically that you've got to do something, that something needs to shift. So when you start feeling that, notice how it feels in your body. For me, I'll start feeling it in my brain. I'll start craving food, but I'm not actually hungry. My brain just needs a break. Our systems are giving us these messages. If you're in a situation where continually you feel drained or tired, or after you leave a visit with someone, whether it's family, whether it's a work conversation, whether it's a dating or intimate relationship conversation, and you notice how you feel, there's a boundary that needs to be set, because your energy is precious. Your time, your energy, those are precious, precious gifts. And if it's leaking out, meaning you're starting to get drained because you don't have enough energy coming in, it's a sign for a boundary. Now, what kind of boundary would you set? You might want to let the other person know that you can meet, but you can only meet for 10 minutes. Or if someone wants to meet in person, say, hey, can we do something on Zoom? Or if you've got a family gathering and you tend to be exhausted or drained, set that boundary. Yeah, I'm psyched to see you guys. And I've got a, hard stop, or I've got a meeting, or I've got something I need to take care of. So I'll be there as long as I can, giving yourself an out. So learn how to set those boundaries ahead of time. If you're overworking, learn how to put in rest. Why do I say this? It can save your life. Stress is the exacerbator that makes everything else harder and every syndrome or symptom worse. So find ways to decompress.
Let's say for dating is a big place where this comes up. A lot of people tell me that when they come to me and they go, wow, the date was magical. It was wonderful. We spent 7 hours together and now I'm exhausted. Instead of spending 7 hours on a first date, spend an hour and a half. You are going to share just enough to leave them wanting more. And that way you're not exhausted. So let's say that you know that you tend to overshare or overgive or overdo. Set that boundary before you go. So we call these preemptive boundaries. The fifth boundary is one of my favorites, and it is about not taking responsibility for other people's emotions. We overextend ourselves. We try to fix the problem because we want to help. And the problem is that this behavior can lead to a repetitive cycle of trying to rescue somebody, feeling taken advantage of when that person doesn't appreciate you or reciprocate. And then you feel resentful, you feel depleted, you feel exhausted. In most cases, the person that we have rescued is capable of solving their own problems, and they may resent the help that we're giving. I know that I do when somebody says you should do this or offers me unsolicited advice. That's what we're doing when we're rescuing somebody. We're rendering them helpless, and it feels terrible. So what do you do instead? Well, you set a boundary with yourself that you're going to resist taking responsibility for other people's emotions. Be aware when it starts to bubble up inside you. And one of the things you can replace that need to fix and repair somebody else is to give them empathy and say something like, that sounds really challenging. You're not responsible to take on their emotions. And this is really important for all you empaths out there, all you highly sensitive people who tend to absorb everything. So set that boundary with yourself that you are not going to intervene unless you are being asked.
I had a meme several years ago, and it still cracks me up. You're not responsible for anyone else's happiness. If you were, then you should give them a pony. You're not in charge of their happiness. So one of my other favorite things to say is, how can I support you? As a coach, oftentimes, because we can jump in and we can fix everyone's problems and let us fix things and we can make it better. We have to empower the people that we work with and the people in our lives. And it works just the same if you're in a conversation or if you're with someone who's struggling. Give them the space to figure it out. Ask them questions about it. Ask them what would they like to see differently, and ask how you can support them. It's not about you making the difference, doing their work, changing things for them. It's about you holding the space so that they can do it themselves. Everyone's on their own journey, and robbing them of that emotion and that lesson takes them away from that lesson or that journey. And you can walk alongside them, hold their hand and support them. But part of that journey is them experiencing what they need to experience.
Self-esteem is really built on us trying things and failing and trying again and creating our own way of doing things, not somebody doing it for us. We want to empower you to have the tools you need to live your best life. And so, speaking of living your best life, if you have gotten any value out of this video and you want to improve your boundaries, but you're not sure how or where to begin, we have a free 5-day Healthy Boundaries Summit. It runs from January 9th to the 13th. This is the first time we're announcing it. And it's free. It's filled with lots of valuable information on how to create the most important boundaries so that you can begin the new year with a bang, and you will take these boundaries through the year. It's never too early to sign up, and we hope to see you in the summit. There'll be also a private Facebook group so you can get additional support from Theresa and myself.
There's so many times where in the new year we talk about resolutions or things you're going to start doing. These are things to stop doing. Stop letting other people run your life. Stop letting their opinions or your fears take charge. These are things that it's okay to leave behind. You don't have to start a bunch of stuff, but stop doing what doesn't work. And really, when you join us in the 5-day Healthy Boundary Summit, we're going to go a lot deeper in the boundaries that every single one of us need, because we've not been taught boundaries in a way that makes sense or that are as applicable as we think they could be. Boundaries are everything. They protect your time, your energy, your well-being, and your new year.